So I just had a question come in from a LBA client, and I want to read it to you, and then I actually want to play back for you my answer. It's a series of voice notes, and I'll put them in the video and you can listen to them as you go about your day. But I think this is going to be really, really powerful for anybody who struggles with consistency. Maybe you're in the earlier phase of your business, maybe you're struggling with consistency around content creation. I think this really, really hits the mark, and I wanted to get it into the hands of as many people that ultimately see this. Okay, so here's the question. It comes from Greg. He said, I want to pick your brain about consistency. You never seem to take your foot off the pedal. When I was posting multiple times a day, it built a habit that was getting traffic to my link, right? It's something we talk about in LBA quite a lot, is let's boil your entire business down to one core metric. Let's get clicks on the link. That could be an offer doc link, it could be a checkout link. It depends on the individual situation. But when you've just got one core metric to optimize for, it makes life very, very simple. Sort of side point. Okay, but then I stopped. It's like I reward myself with a break, but then my momentum stops and I feel like I need to start again. That word momentum is key. It can be both amazing and it can be a trap. Okay, what strategies do you use to maintain consistency when you're tired or don't feel like posting? Do you have any specific systems in place that can make it almost automatic? Any insights would be incredibly helpful as I'm trying to rebuild my rhythm after falling off track. Okay, now, Greg shouldn't feel bad. This is incredibly, incredibly common, okay? And what I did is I went on about a 10-minute rant across a couple of different voice clips, and we broke this down to a few really, really critical pieces, okay? So if you have struggled with consistency in any form, particularly relevant when it comes to content creation, this is going to be probably the most valuable 10 minutes that you can spend, at least today, if not this week, if not this month, okay? So I'm going to cut over to my response and my reply to Greg, and I hope that you draw something from it. If you feel like dropping a comment below with your biggest light bulb, your biggest takeaway, or any follow-up questions, I'll do my best to get back to you. Enjoy. All right, dude. So first things first, with consistency, I think there's a bit of a misconception that it comes down to like raw discipline, pure motivation. And those are definitely pieces of it. But I think those things alone are a bit too like fragile, all right? They can kind of come and go with the wind. Life can be unpredictable. And we just can't always lean on being disciplined 100% of the time. Or always feeling motivated. It's just not the reality, right? In the seasons where you are, great, tap into it and double down. And you'll see my volume fluctuate. I have my baseline is omnipresence, but there's definitely a fluctuation in input and volume depending on how I'm feeling. The difference is just that my baseline isn't stop. My baseline isn't disappear, okay? And so there's a couple of things in terms of when I'm in those periods where it doesn't necessarily mean it's a negative thing. I could just be really busy with other stuff, be that business, investing, life. I maybe am not feeling it. Like I might feel a little bit out of alignment or whatever. And so it's really about optimizing for those seasons, because when motivation's super high, discipline's super high, energy's super high, that's easy, right? It's easy to crank then. When you're getting the immediate feedback from the process, that's easy. It's in those periods in between where instead of dropping from high output to 0, let's assume high output is 2, rather than going from 2 to 0, we just want to go from 2 to 1. And then we can hold at 1 until maybe things swing back, and then we can ramp it up. And when I say swing back, that could be we get more time, we get more energy, we get more clarity, we get more discipline, we get more motivation. Because otherwise, if you're going from 2 to 0 to 2 to 0 to 2 to 0, it's emotionally exhausting for you. There's going to be massive inconsistency in your brand, your messaging, your omnipresence, and it just doesn't really work. Okay, so that's the first thing on this, and then I want to take this a little bit further with you. So with that all said, fundamentally for me, structure comes, the consistency comes down to structures that you've got in place, and also a little bit around identity. which is a little bit deeper, but we can talk about it. Okay. So the first thing is you really can't exclusively rely on momentum, which ties into what I was talking about before. Because when shit happens in life, momentum potentially can disappear, but at the very least will aggressively dip, right? So if we're purely riding on that, it's not going to work. Okay. So then we lean more on systems. Okay. And so this is where, if you're in a period of higher energy, crank out more content and either schedule it or have it in your notes or have it in your docs, so that if things get busy, if life gets in the way, if you have a shitty day, you've got stuff that you can lean on. That could be videos, it could be emails, it could be posts. It doesn't really matter, right? The other thing is, so systems can be like distribution systems like that, but then they can also be like creation systems. So triggers. So for me, like the example I literally just gave above, I've ingrained it so deeply in myself that, like, if I get a little bit of social proof come in, like a comment or a post, or there's a screenshot that I want to share of whatever that it may be, I try not to wait on it, right? Like, if I've got 2 minutes, I'll crank it out. Like that example I literally just gave. What most people do is they might screenshot it, if at all. Most people will just go, I'll deal with that later, and then they never do anything with it. The next kind of bucket is people will screenshot it and then probably never do anything with it, or they'll screenshot it and then they'll take a fucking hour to create a piece of content around it when it really doesn't need that. Okay, here's what I've learned is, I can write that post, I can write that email, and it can take me 2 minutes. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to change the world? No, but it gets done and it nudges that ecosystem just that little bit further, right? So in that example, if there's been, let's say there's a mum with 2 kids who's also a health coach, and she's been sitting on the fence, maybe that email's not the thing to tip her over, but now she's got another little piece of data filed away upstairs going, Jacob helps these type of people. She's seen the comment about the amazing experience that this person had on the call, and it nudges her a little bit further to the transaction. And that's what I want. I'm not trying to swing for home runs every single time I post. The other thing that I've learned is that the difference between taking 2 minutes to write a post and taking an hour to write a post, you are definitely not going to get a 50x ROI on your time. You might get a 10% uplift in yield. And so if I can pump it out in 2 minutes versus someone pumping it out in an hour, I'm going to get 50 posts done in the time that they're going to get 1 done. Okay, so you need systems and structures where if you've got 2 minutes, if a thing comes in, you get it done, right? And you become fully okay with the fact that it won't be perfect, but done is so far better than perfect for the reasons that I just described, right? And so because of that, I don't get married to a piece of content. I get the prompt, I get the trigger, which is something happening in life or business, and I post it. I send it, I write it, and we move on. Taking that same point one step further, so it really splits into 2 things. One is the system or the structure or the catalyst to create makes it really easy. And then second, which I kind of touched on, but I've essentially eliminated the friction when it comes to creation, right? Like I can create anywhere, anytime. It doesn't matter. Like I don't need to be at my computer. Like people over-engineer the process of creation. Like I can literally take any prompt. It could even be completely irrelevant to the business, and I can find a way to tie it back to the business. Okay. So there's the system in terms of the catalyst, and then there's the system in terms of eliminating or reducing friction to actually create, right? And that, a lot of that comes from just comes from reps as well. But not over-engineering the actual creation and creating and putting so much friction in place such that the thought of creating becomes exhausting. I've been through this in big ways with YouTube. I've gone through seasons, and you can see it on my channel. I've gone through seasons where I create heaps because I'm keeping it really simple and I'm literally just pulling out my phone and like walking around. And then I try fancy it up. That's dialing up the friction to creation, be it, I have to be in the office here, I have to have the lighting here, I have to use this camera here, and I fall off a fucking cliff with it because I'm building up in my head the process of creation. And again, that uplifting quality is in no way going to give me a bigger ROI than if I just got the video done. Okay, so the friction to creation and reducing that or eliminating that as much as possible makes it so that when you're in those periods of a lull in motivation, a dip, whatever, you can still push stuff out. And then just one more point on this too, and this is kind of where the identity piece comes into it. I think people, there's a few things I want to touch on. I think people only post because they think it's going to make them a sale, and they think that if they post and it doesn't make them a sale, the content's not working, and that is so far from the truth. Like the example that I just described before, even if nobody buys off an email, it could be an unbelievably good email insofar as it's hit 15 people between the eyes. I'm now on their radar and they're seriously thinking about joining. And then the next email could tip them over the edge. It's not just because of that one piece of content. It is a cumulative effect over an extended period of time. And this is where people fail with content, is that they think it's binary and they think it's like one post either worked or it didn't. It's not. It's about building up this brute force of momentum over an extended period of time where ultimately someone's seeing your stories and your Instagram and your Facebook posts and an email, and then they get hit with a remarketing ad, and then, hey, Jacob's seen a new YouTube video, until they hear that one line at the right time that gets them to move forward. And the more shots that we can take, the more likely we are to engineer that moment for people. Okay, so that's the kind of important thing to understand. The other thing is from a pure identity perspective, you need to ingrain that I'm a person that posts every day, right? It's become a habit, it's become a standard, it's become I've got a message that I want to share, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to share it every single day because that is who I am. You need to engineer that identity within yourself so that it's not questioned, right? Like if I don't create a piece of content, it feels the same as, like, think about any other critical life thing that you do every other day, right? Like I just have to do it. It'd be like me not brushing my teeth, right? Doesn't feel very nice. Doesn't taste very good, right? Like for me, it's just a thing that I do every single day, and I've ingrained that identity over an extended period of time. And again, that comes from reps. That comes from you showing up and doing it so that even if I'm exhausted, even if I don't have the biggest motivation, even if it's a 3-line post, it's so ingrained in me at this point that I have a message that I want to share every day. And I'm on this mission and I'm on this path, and I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my family. I want to be a leader for you guys in here and my private clients. And I need to walk the walk, right? There's so many reasons. And so whichever one of those kind of hits, like, do it for your kids, man, right? You post every day for your kids. And if you don't, I don't want to be brutal, but if you don't, you're kind of letting them down, because that's the thing that's going to get you on the path that you want to be on, right? And so whatever you need to do in order to ingrain it into your fucking identity that you have to do it, lean on that trigger, right? So they're the few things. It's not about pure discipline. There's a part of it that's discipline. It's not about pure momentum and motivation. There's a part of it that's that. When you're in those seasons, you want to double down on it. But really what makes and breaks it for people is in the ebbs in between those. If you're dropping back to 0, it's a big problem. We want to drop back to 1. We want to drop back to a baseline. And that comes down to identity, as I just described it. It comes down to systems and structures in place that, one, you've got like a bank of content from the time where your motivation was higher. 2, it's easy for you to come up with ideas. And 3, it's easy for you to create. Okay? If you do that.
So I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that you got something out of it if consistency is something that you have struggled with. Okay, where I gave Greg this answer was in what I call our office hours container. Okay, now this is 2 hours per week inside the Lifestyle Business Academy. The link is below if you want to get all the details and jump in. It's 2 hours per week where I sit at my desk in real time and directly go back and forth with people on their questions with either text or voice message, okay? I do this because not everybody wants to get on coaching calls every day. They don't need to sit through a 2-hour call. Sometimes they just want to fire over one question, get a direct answer, and get on with things, okay? So if you feel like having me in your pocket for 2 hours a week to do these office hours, we do calls and stuff in addition to this, but it's a really, really cool container that I love. And if you feel like it'd be valuable for you to have me in your pocket for 2 hours every single week to just tackle that one big thing that you're really struggling with, check out the details for the Lifestyle Business Academy, and I'd love to see you in there. Cheers.